Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Paul K. Lemire. This is Your City, Your Voice coming to you live, excuse me, from the studios of 4680Q in downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. And I don't know the postal code, so don't ask me. Here we are again. I made it in the studio, and it's a balmy day out there compared to the weather we've been having. We were sitting at 4:30 this morning when I got up. It was 24 degrees. Now it's about 27, 28 out, going into the 30s probably with this beautiful sunshine. Barometer sitting at 29.48 and on the rise, which means clearing weather, beautiful. And we look outside and we see a sunny day, partly cloudy. The humidity of 59%, which means we are probably not going to get a lot of precipitation today, like zero. That's what I'm expecting. And we're looking at a move into the 30s and 40s as we get through the next 2 weeks. So, hey, we knew this was going to happen. This is what happens as we move into March. It's almost over. Yeah, we may get a freak storm or something, but overall, it's not. Now, for all you triskaidekaphobiacs, today is Friday the 13th. So anybody who has a fear of 13, the triskaidekaphobiacs of the world, they're probably in the house hiding right now. But superstition is superstition, and for the people who aren't superstitious, you can head down to Port Dover right now, Friday the 13th. Always a big day in Port Dover. You may have a few maniacs that are out there on their motorcycles and will make the trek. And if they don't make the trek, sometimes they trailer them there. And then what they do is they just ride them in, trailer them to Port Dover on the outskirts. There just before you get into the city, and then they ride them in and park them on the main street. So yeah, we have brave souls that will do that. Me personally, I'm not one of them. No. But there are them. So happy Friday the 13th to everybody going to Port Dover today. Please be careful and have a great day up in Port Dover. A fantastic place to go on Friday, the 13th, a long-standing tradition. And other than that, it's finally Friday, so we have the weekend coming up, which is fine by me. I have no problem with a weekend, and it's a long weekend for a lot of people, as Monday is Family Day, and a lot of people take the Monday off, so it's a long weekend for them. And I heard just this morning, Liz told me it's a PD day for the kids. Well, how many holidays do these people get? Does anybody go to school anymore? The teachers get, 4 months? And then they get all these PD. What the heck? Wonder why these kids are dopier than hell. Well, outside of the liberal arts teachers they have that are woker than hell and suffer from TDS, they don't go enough. Maybe they should go all summer and learn something. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Okay, so I think we've celebrated everything we're going to celebrate. I'll be in the studio on Monday. Yeah, I'm not taking Family Day off. I'm going to be here talking to you guys on Monday. Lots to talk about, lots going on. But just because this weather is clearing up now and it's getting nicer doesn't mean you can abuse your car. No, your car needs love. If you want it to treat you right, you have to treat it right. And how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to go to Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop. You're going to take it in. Ken Hunter will caress your car. He's going to caress your car. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But he's going to take care of it. Believe me, he's going to make sure it's running tip-top. All systems are go. No computer errors. And that your car is ready, because we only got another couple of weeks, and then we're going to be getting into the spring and the spring tune-up. Yeah, spring checkup. But the thing is, this winter's been hard on your car, especially on the suspension. That's what Ken told me. The biggest problems are with suspension, because all that ice gets up into your suspension and it freezes, and it tends to stretch things and break things and do crazy stuff with your suspension. So that's one of the things you have to make sure you take care of. Not to mention, in the spring, you should really get a full brake service, get all that crud out of your brakes, and make sure they last as long as they can, because it isn't cheap to do a brake job. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, Oakwood Drive, next to the Kia dealership. You can't go wrong. Give Ken a call today and get your car in there and get it all checked out. Now, you can see all the services that Wild Bill's Auto provides at wildbillsauto.ca. And while you're there, don't forget to hop over to my YouTube channel, Paul Lemire 4973, and subscribe to the channel. We hit 210 subscribers. Hey, we're getting there, baby. We're getting there. More people getting involved, more people getting excited. We have an election coming up. We see what's going on with the comrades at City Council down the street here on Queen Street, and how they're abusing, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and freedom of speech and that kind of thing. It's even more important now that you get involved. So subscribe to the channel. I talk about it every day. We go through budgets. We go through the candidates. We go through everything. And now we have February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 9 months. 9 months before the election, October 26th, 9 months. And you want to be educated. You want to be informed. You have to know what's going on. We want the best money, not the best council that we can elect, not the best council money can buy. Get with it. Come on, tune in. Share it with your friends. Get your friends to subscribe. We're not joking around now. We're in an election year. We got to do it right. We got to correct the mistakes we made 4 years ago. It ain't going to happen unless you know what's going on. Look at my Dalek. So you like my Dalek shirt. Yeah, I get the Daleks. And if you don't know who the Daleks are, you better look it up. Okay, I'm going to get to my second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue, halfway through the show, so we'll talk about them. And, you can never go wrong with a great pizza. I'm telling you that right now. Let's get into some viewer comments from Tuesday, because yesterday, like a dodo, moi forgot his sheets. That's right. So I did the show off the cuff yesterday. And when you do it off the cuff, you forget things. You forget what you wrote down. I write these shows for a reason, so I get everything in the hour that I have. So let's get the viewer comments, which I should have did yesterday, but I can remember them offhand. At 881 Slick, Gary Wilkins, my buddy Gary. I absolutely believe that 4500 Park Street, right across here, the meteor crater, was never cleaned up properly. I told dozens of people this, and Gary's not lying. He did. He saw what was going on. He knows what's going on. But then I was told I was a troublemaker. So he advised people at City Council, City Hall, staff, and everybody else, the city managers and everybody else, but told he was a troublemaker. Sorry, I'm not a troublemaker. I just know the history and what I've seen with my own eyes. And if Gary says it's there, you can take it to the bank. Gary worked that side of it. He knows the things that are buried around town. Mike Cushman lived down in that area. Their families have been affected by the contaminants that were delivered by cyanamide, byproducts that were buried around town and everything else. So if they say it, take it to the bank. And he said it's not clean. I believe it's not clean. I told you my story about coming around smelling petroleum. Somebody else verified that. And then somebody told me there were drums buried over there. That's why everything stopped when they were digging up those stumps. And that was January 15th show. If you want to see what I said, go to the January 15th show on YouTube and watch the video. Okay, thanks for that, Gary. And I certainly believe you, buddy. I certainly believe you. At user-uf6bf3vsv4y. A new commenter. So at user-uf6bf3sv4y, the plants and always was to see the exchange. Oh, the plan was and always was to see the exchange sold to a private entity, probably some of our aldermen. Now, user must be, yeah, he's got to be he's got to be a mature person because he does what I do, call them aldermen, and I still use that term a lot. So, and that's an interesting take on it there. User dash UF6B F3 SV4Y. To me, it's really a white elephant, and getting rid of it would make sense. I don't know if our private enterprise that'll take it over are going to be the aldermen, but I think the city definitely should invest money turning it into doctors' offices and following the John Ringo Beam scheme of how to make the most of it. I say to use it, call it the medical exchange. John figures that if we set doctors up in a turnkey business, they would come to Niagara Falls without having to spend $100,000 on them. We would take their OHIP proceeds and pay them a salary every year, commensurate with what doctors in this area are making, and away we go. They don't have to set up a business. We run it all for them, and we get compensated. They get compensated, and everybody's happy. That's what I'd like to see happen with that $17 million white elephant. And then at the Iceman 69, Clark Burnett, $120,000 a year, 546.8 for 5% benefits, I guess, or what, I don't know what that is, 5%. 546.84, 5%, whatever that means. Senior Manager of Culture, City of Niagara Falls. He's given us the stats on Clark Burnett, and I was talking about this guy who was there when they built the exchange, kind of supervised it all and worked with it. And as soon as it's losing $3 or $4 million a year, Clark Burnett conveniently takes off to run something in Fort Erie. So he's gone. Now I've got $17 million. He might have stayed because guess what? Somebody's got to make a success out of this white elephant. It doesn't look like it's going to be Clark Burnett because he's gone. Whoa, take the money and run. Ooh, Lord. Okay, at the Iceman 69, I had 12 million Club Z points. Okay, if you saw last week, I think it was last week or maybe Monday, I was wearing my shirt that said Club Z. I said, all you people out there who don't know what Club Z was, figure it out. And of course, John knew. He's an old timer. He knows. He knows. And Club Z was the points system that Zellers used when you bought stuff. You got points, and you could redeem them for different items. And John Ringo Beam, the Iceman 69, says he had 12 million Club Z points. That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. Now, from Thursday, the comments. The Iceman 69 again. That was yesterday, Thursday, by the way. You cannot land full. The wings will fall off. We were talking about the planes not being able to go to Cuba because they can't refuel. And, people think they can just fill the planes right up, fly there and fly back, but you really can't because you're only allowed to have 10% more than you need in case you have to circle or divert because planes don't like to land, and the FAA doesn't like you to land with a full plane as far as fuel goes because landing is dangerous. Anything happens, it's a ball of fire, kills everybody aboard, guaranteed. They like the plane to be empty almost when they land. And John said you can't land full because the wings will fall off. Well, that's not true. A plane can land with a full tank of fuel, but the aerodynamics will change drastically. And of course, if anything goes wrong, there's more fuel to burn, and that's not good. You saw what happened in the crash where the plane took off, couldn't get altitude, and then it crashed into a thing. It was full of fuel, and the big fireball and that happened. That's what happens, and that's why they don't like to fly these planes full. Now, if it does land heavy, and that's what they call it when it's got fuel, if a plane takes off and for some reason it has to circle back because of some kind of a problem, if it does land heavy, after it does land successfully, it has to be checked for damage because there's a lot of stress that goes on the landing gear and all that. When you land that heavy, planes are made to land light. In other words, with very little fuel on them. So they have to be checked for damage and that kind of thing. And if there is a major problem and a plane has to return after taking off, say, for example, the landing gear fell off or something like that, they'd have to fly to burn off the fuel because the chance of a major disaster would be impossible to avoid with one wheel gone. So they would probably be flying as long as they could and burn off a lot of the fuel because the less fuel when they land, the better in that case. But the wings will not fall off airplanes. They can land with a full load of fuel. It's just something all involved would like to avoid if possible. Thank you for the comment, John. At Dave Wheeler, 1158. Now, Dave was supposed to be on Tuesday or on Monday to talk about the city council agenda. He forgot what time my show was. He didn't come into 1, so we were all kidding him about it. And he says to me, "Welcome to the land of forgetfulness," because I forgot my notes. And yeah, we're getting there, Wheels. We're getting there. The proof is in the pudding, right? I forgot my notes. You forgot the time. So there you go. Now, I also want to say one thing. We got our tax bills. And I just happen to have mine with me here today. This is what they look like if you get them in the mail. It looks like that. This is your tax bill. Now, remember, this tax bill says that I owe $1,820.38 for the first 2 quarters of the year, $910 a quarter. And that's now without the increase, right? This is what I was talking about. They give you this based on last year's 3rd and 4th quarter. And then the extra, because they raised our taxes, 4.3%, plus the regionals got to go on there and other things, you're probably looking at this going up to probably $960 or $70, right? So at the end of the day, this is just an interim tax bill, so they can have money to operate. But you're going to get a bill come, that'll probably come the 3rd quarter. You get a bill in the middle of the summer in July, and it'll be for $910.38 plus the increase, they didn't have on here. So you get double slam. So I'm anticipating it to be $1,050, maybe something like that. Maybe more, maybe 2,000, no, not 2,000, 1,100. But either way, there it is. There it is. I paid the first one. It's paid in full. And then I have to pay the other one by April 30th. So that's your tax bill. They're in. You're going to see it. No explanations except how to pay it. They tell you that. What you owe and how to pay it and the date you have to pay them by. So that's it. They're in. And this isn't with the increase. We'll find that out come the 3rd quarter when they send us our second half of the year quarter by quarter bill in probably August. We'll get it. I think one of the payments is due September 30th, then October, November, and then December. Okay, so let's just get back to that city council meeting of last Tuesday. Yesterday, I forgot my notes. So I forgot some comments I wanted to make on it, and we're going to go into it. And I was talking about yesterday about raising the Integrity Commission complaint fee to $1,000. Said how much of a violation it was of our rights as tax-paying citizens. To launch complaints, we have to have the money to be able to do it against counselors or council that any of us deem actions by council dishonest, dishonorable, corrupt, or unprincipled. And that's a good thing. My nose is itchy. When I talk about this, my nose gets itchy. And all the complaints launched in 2025, which cost the taxpayers $177,000 or some fee that they keep harping on. But when I use Tiffany Clark, the squirrel, our CFO's numbers to calculate, well, what does $177,000 really mean to us taxpayers? Because they make it out like it's a big deal. Like, oh boy. As a matter of fact, Councilor Strange stood up and said that if we allow this, it's going to bankrupt the city. You know, these guys, they're so dishonest. They're so dishonest. Listen, our budget is $200 million. More. Do you really think $177,000 is going to bankrupt the city? If that is going to bankrupt the city, we're in bad shape. And he should be full. Somebody should go into city council and fire all these guys right now. If they got us in such bad shape that $177,000 is going to bankrupt us. $1 million isn't going to bankrupt us. What's the matter with these guys? Are they just liars? Or do they really not know? I got to think maybe they just don't know. I got to think that when they make statements like that. But regardless, right? These are numbers, and I'm going to tell you what that $177,000 means to you on your tax bill using Tiffany Clark's formula. That's where I got it, right off of the city council agenda when ideas to cut expenses were made. She broke them down into pennies per month. You want to save 100,000, it works out to this much a month. $177,000 to protect democracy and give you the right to launch integrity commission complaints if you feel they're valid, cost every taxpayer 25 cents a month, $3 a year. That's it. Do not believe the numbers they're telling you. They're trying to strike fear into you. They're going to bankrupt the city. Come on. You know, do they really think we're that? Well, they must think we're that stupid. They must, or they keep saying it. They toss out these numbers like it's a big deal. It's 25 cents a month for every taxpayer, $3 a year to protect your right to go to the integrity commissioner if you think that their actions are not appropriate. I think 25 cents a month is worth protecting the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, to protect democracy, and to protect the taxpayer's voice if they feel that councilors or council on the whole have done something wrong. That's me. Leave your comments about that one. So, what was Jimmy the Flute? That's what I call Jimmy now. Jimmy the Flute, our mayor. Because he's always chirping like a flute. He sounds like a flute. Well, the Eclipse Man, that's another name I give him, along with the Big Show, Hollywood Jim, and a lot of other names. And some names I can't mention because I read them and I'm going, whoa, boy. But he couldn't keep his mouth shut on this one. He had to throw his 2 cents in, saying that if people want to launch integrity commissioner complaints, they have to pay to play. Do you notice a common theme with this council? It's all about paying. Hey, you want to advertise the cannabis-infused tea? Pay us. We don't care about morality of it. Pay. We want money. Well, that's how democracy works in Niagara Falls, it appears. If you want to launch integrity commissioner reports, you better come up with $1,000. You got to pay to play. And that's coming from our mayor, who's raised our taxes 25% over the last 4 years. That's his idea of citizens, hardworking citizens, paying to play. I mean, yeah, this is a scheme, $1,000, pay to play scheme. The October 26th election cannot come soon enough for me. And I think Peter Giblet made a great point this morning, too, when he said that, a lot of the Integrity Commission, I watch the show. They have a show called Talking Niagara, him and Wheels. A lot of mornings I'll tune in and see what they have to say. But he was saying that a lot of the money that they're talking about, the $177,000, is staff actually doing a lot of the stuff, which we're paying anyway. So really, when you get down to it, is it really 177,000? It probably isn't. They probably make it and use every number they can to jimmy it up so it can scare you. But I don't know if that's true or not. But Peter, a good thought, Peter. Good thought. Now, in a post by Councilor Lori Lococo on Facebook, she asked people's opinion about charging $1,000, raising the fee, which has already been voted for. They're going to raise it. Councilor Fritz von Cario made a motion, and Kaiser Heidi von Neuesteg seconded it, or his second in command. But on the post that Lori Lococo had, the overwhelming response against raising it was amazing. It was evident. People calling it what I called it. And I'll give you some of the adjectives they used. These are great comments right there. There was over 100 comments. There's probably even more now. They called it shameful, corrupt, a breach of the democratic process, asking how to reverse this decision, erosion of trust in council, unethical, immoral, violation of taxpayers' rights to hold power accountable. Power, we mean city council accountable. Dishonest, something to hide, a bunch of asshats. That was there. A council without integrity. The mayor needs to go. The mayor thinks he's a mob boss. No integrity with this council. The fee makes it harder to dig deeper and uncover more, i.e., the truth. The fee of $1,000 shows a lack of integrity on council. I pay my taxes. That should cover it. And you're right, you do pay your taxes, and that does cover it. And even if it didn't, it's 25 cents a month. I already told you that. Why are there so many frivolous complaints in the first place? Now, that's a huge statement. Why do city council people, why do they think people are launching complaints? Oh, yeah, it's Jody Burdett. That's why. They think it's just Jody Burdett. He just has nothing else to do, so he launches these complaints and plops down $500 a shot. Yeah, well, that's their vendetta against Jody, but it's not the truth because Jody goes to a lot of trouble to launch these. He gives a written expose on why he is launching the suit and why he feels it's valid. Jody doesn't just write it on a napkin, like this, like these guys did. Write it on a piece of paper in some restaurant, then put it on a sheet like this, and ask for $700,000 when they're running a $1.3 million deficit. And that's why I laugh when Mike Strange or anybody else gets up and cries about, we're going to save the taxpayers. It's the taxpayers' dollars. We have to protect them. Yeah, well, here, look at this. Did you protect us against that? Not a chance. Get the hell out. These people. But anyway, and someone pointing out the municipalities that have no fees, and there's a lot of them. Most municipalities do not charge a fee to launch an integrity commission report, a complaint. They don't. So Niagara Falls is one of the few. They've been told by the ombudsman to stop it. Vince Carroll said that if the ombudsman don't like it, come to Niagara Falls and you pay the fees. You pay for the fees of what it costs the city to launch these. So he told the guy to basically F off with his opinion, if you want to get right down to it. Now, on the other side of that coin, there were some people who were supporting the fees being raised, leaning on wasting taxpayers' money. And I already explained that it's really not wasting taxpayers' money. And if it is wasting money, it's so minimal as not to be even, not to be even thought about. 25 cents a month, really. But the bottom line is, what price do you put on democracy? That's what this all boils down to in the democratic process. When you work it out, it's 25 cents a month, like I said. Is that too much to pay for the right to take council to task if you feel that they've breached integrity? I mean, couldn't we take $177,000 out of the casino money to pay for this? I think it'd be worth it to support democracy and rights. Now, my solution, and I've said this for a long time now, is hire a mediator. What I would like to see is them hire a retired integrity commissioner, somebody who was an integrity commissioner in their previous job. They've retired, and now I would like them to be a mediator. And what they would do is when somebody wants to launch a complaint, part of them launching it, no fee, but part of them launching it is them sitting down with this mediator and discussing why they're launching the complaint and getting an honest evaluation of their complaint from somebody who has experience as to whether their complaint is valid or not. And not so much if it's valid. Every complaint is valid because people are mad at something. They feel that integrity's been breached. More if it can hold water in front of the integrity commissioner. And a lot of times they do this when you go to small claims court. There's always a mediation meeting before going to court because the mediator is a circuit judge or somebody, and they give you their opinion of whether your case is going to be able to succeed or not. And that's what I would expect this integrity commissioner to do. Sit down, you pay him a couple $100 for an hour of his time or whatever. He sits with the person making the complaint, discusses it, and then gives his honest opinion of whether this complaint will make it through the integrity commissioner or not. Now, a lot of times he may look at it and advise them that, seriously, from my experience in this and that, and I've seen other cases like this, it just won't fly. You're not going to win this, and whatever money you have to pay to launch the complaint, you're going to lose. So, in my estimation, there may be other ways for you to get your point across about this, but going to the integrity commissioner may not work out in your favor. At least there's an honest opinion. It costs a few $100s for city council to send the guy to this, whoever's got the complaint, to this person, and they may be able to settle it right then and there and give them really good advice, the person launching the complaint. It's a lot better paying a couple $100 for this than it is to go through the whole process and cost the city $10,000. And it could be a win-win for everyone. Some people will continue on with their complaint, or the integrity commissioner might say, hey, you've got a valid complaint here. I would say that if you proceed, you have a good chance of winning this one. So I think that is probably the way it should go if we want to cut this off. And I think that a lot could be settled outside of the actual process of integrity commissioner complaint and then him deciding on it and taking weeks and weeks to decide on it and everything else. I think that makes sense. But the best way to avoid any kind of fees and anybody launching integrity commission complaints is for council to always act with integrity. That's right, keeping in mind who they work for and what their mandate is when it comes to council decisions. And council actions and decisions are both involved usually. Whether inside or outside of City Hall, they're responsible. They have to be responsible. Councilors have been given power when they're elected. And if they abuse that power in any way, it's a breach of contract with the voters. To do what's best for them and not the taxpayers is a breach of contract. To act in a manner unbecoming of an elected official, somebody who represents this city, is a breach of contract. To abuse their fiduciary responsibilities to the taxpayers, safeguarding our money and our tax dollars, is a breach of contract. To not act in the best interest of citizens is a breach of contract. If they adhered to these tenets of good governance, there would be zero integrity commissioner complaints. And that's the way it should be. And they talked about, is this unusual for this city, this number of complaints? What's unusual? If people don't feel city council is working in their best behalf, if they're seeing things happen that shouldn't happen, then they're going to want to launch complaints. So I think it's contingent on city councilors to fulfill their mandate when elected of not breaching the contract between them and the voters. Leave your comments on the video, and I'll talk about them on the show. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You might not agree. If you don't, that's fine. I mean, there's two sides to every story. That's just my opinion. But I think that there's a lot of ways that we can deal with this, save the city money, and also satisfy the taxpayers that their complaints are being heard. Their complaints of breaches of integrity or trust are being heard. And it can be that way for everybody, not just those who have $1,000 to plop on the table. Let's move on. It's 12:30. My second sponsor, Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue. And of course, when I look for a pizza, I look for integrity. I don't want pizzerias to breach my contract with them. And that's contract says for them to make me a good pizza. That's what I want. And Pete's Pizza never breaches that contract. I'll tell you that right now. They make a pizza and they use only the freshest ingredients. They use the Mancini family recipe for the crust and for the sauce. They know how to blend the cheese, the sauce on top of the crust to make a tremendous pizza. And it's an art. Making a pizza is an art. Let's face it. There's good pizzas and there's bad pizzas. And some are better than others. And there's a reason for it. It's because of the ingredients that they use and how they put them together. Now, Pete's Pizza just doesn't make fantastic pizzas. They make great wings. Wings are tremendous. Chicken parm sandwiches, panzerotti, steak and cheese poutine. You name it. They run the whole gamut of food. They have a three-page fold out with great stuff on the menu. You're not going to go hungry there. Open till 2 a.m, Friday and Saturday for your convenience, till midnight during the week. They've opened a brand new location for the people in the northwest part of the city. So now they have it on Victoria Avenue, and they also have it out on the corner of Thoroldstone Road and Kaler Road. How can you beat it? How can you beat it? You know you love pizza, and you want a good pizza. You call Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue or now Thorold and Kaler. How do you get one of these beautiful pizzas? Well, you can dial 905-374-2222. Excuse me. Or you can go to their website, petespizzavictoria.ca, or right online, right from their website. They use Dine, they use Skip the Dishes, they use all the services. It doesn't matter. You want a pizza, they're going to get you one. Pete's Pizza Victoria Avenue. Please support our sponsors. They support the city. And you should support all small businesses in the city. They're an integral part of the city, and they do a lot for people in the city. They're always there to help. Support our sponsors and support all small business, please. Okay, another item on the thing was that giant teapot. And nobody was really against it. They wanted more information. Councillor Lococo reminded council that they should not be supporting anything that promotes booze and drugs. But Councillor Only 8, Van Nieuwesteg, says, as long as they give us money, what do we care? Now, this is interesting because people are always whining about the drug problem in the city, especially her, because there's things flopping in her parking lot of her business on Main Street. Right? And she sees these people addicted to drugs and the way they are, and yet she's ready to endorse a drug-infused tea as long as they pay us enough money to do it. Are you kidding me? I mean, is there any morals there? Seriously, I don't care about drugs as long as you pay us enough money. I guess they're not bright enough to understand that Boston Tea is calling this public art skirt advertising rules around advertising addictive substances. That's right. We'll advertise in cannabis infused iced tea and we'll call it art. And our city council, that city council in Niagara Falls, they're dopey enough to fall for this. I mean, if they wanted to display a hypodermic needle to advertise heroin and display it as public art, I guess as long as they pay us enough, that would be fine. Oh my goodness. Why not just say no? We're not getting involved in this. We don't want to be involved in this. You want to put a teapot up somewhere? Go ahead. But we're not endorsing it. We're not giving you the okay. We're saying no. Do what you got to do. It isn't public art, it's advertising. And if they can fool everybody to thinking it's public art and getting away with their advertising campaign because they couldn't put it up on billboards or anything, nobody will let them do that. You can't do that. So they turn to these other creative marketing, calling it public art. And all these people are going, oh, okay, oh, yeah, public art. And then some of them are going like this. How can we make money off of this? We can make money off of people smoking weed. No, it's not right. It's not. One thing the council agreed with me on, though, is the fact that the Parks Commission has to cough up more dough. They really do got to cough up more money. And they made some pretty good cases that I never even thought of. I just looked on it at the surface of 3.5 million cars rolling around Niagara Falls in the summer, hammering our roads and our infrastructure, and they're paying 34 cents a car. I think it should be more like $1 a car, $2 a car, $5 a car. Regardless, it should be more than 34 cents. But we deserve even more than that, perhaps. My question is, why are they mentioning it after I mentioned it? Why didn't anybody think of this before? They have been looking up at these numbers for 40 years, half the city councilors on there for 20 years. Why hadn't they bring this up before? Maybe I'm having a good effect on them. They're starting to wake up to certain things. But yeah, there was different things that they said too, and it had to do with delivery of fire services. If they're building a new hotel on the river, well, who's gonna go down there and deal with a fire there? It's going to be the city. Who takes care of a lot of their buildings as far as fires go and that kind of thing? It's the city. Yet they don't pay property taxes. They give us $1.3 million in lieu. And if it was property taxes they had to pay on all their buildings and stuff, it'd be a lot more than 1.3 million, maybe 10 times that. So I think we should up that. I think we have to up that fee, and they agree. They're going to take a look at it. And speaking of city councils, the city of Thorold completed their budget and handed their taxpayers a 3.49% increase for 2026, 1% less than Niagara Falls, and they don't get $20 million from this casino. So go figure that one out. Of course, like Niagara Falls, our 4.43% is doesn't include the region and education taxes, so they still have to be added on, and will increase the total percentage to taxpayers, but their rate is going to be 3.49% for the year. Now I'm getting a kick. I'm going to move on from city council stuff, although you can keep looking at that. There's that $700,000 right here. This is how they got it. You want 700 grand? Here it is. This is how you get it. Or do something where you can make a ton of money off something illegal, or not illegal, but restricted certain segments of the population, and call it art. There's an easy way to deal with the city. But I'm getting a kick out of these dopey Canadians crying about Trump in the Gordie Howe Elbows Up Bridge. It's funny. Trump doesn't seem to be very afraid of the elbows up Canadians. And he says, hey, this bridge comes into America. I want a revenue cut. America wants a cut of the revenue on this bridge because it's supposed to all go to Canada. And he says that if they don't cut the United States in on this deal, they're going to make millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions from commerce traveling back and forth over that bridge, toll fees and that kind of thing. Yeah, we want a cut of it. And if he doesn't, they're not getting over the bridge. That's what he said. And I mean, to get into the United States, they have to go through customs, they have to go through immigration. That's all there is to it. So all he's going to do is not have that there. No, you can't come over that bridge. We have no customs and immigration to clear you into the country. You can't use that bridge. Go over the Ambassador Bridge or through the tunnel or something else. But you're not coming over that Gordie Howe Bridge, and that puts the kibosh on it. So it really doesn't matter what Trump's reasons are. Why is he doing this? Why is Trump doing this to Canadians? Who cares? He's president of the United States. It's his decision to make what border crossings that land in the USA are open or closed. And he wants this one closed if the taxpayers don't get their fair share of revenue from it. That's it. Now, I don't know why Canadians always think that Trump and the USA owe them something. Why do they think America owes us something? I mean, it's been that way for 100 years. They think America owes Canada something. And, that's over. Trump has put the kibosh in all that. It's over. You better get Carnage down to Washington, and instead of doing his Screw Trump world tour, he goes and he makes a deal with Trump. I mean, Trump's sitting there watching Carnage trying to stick it to him, and you wonder why he does stuff like this? Don't wonder. I'm telling you, Carnage's best bet. It has been that way since day one when he was elected, and he promised all of you that he was the only guy that could make a deal with Trump. That's it. There's nobody else. PP, here, Polyev couldn't do it. He couldn't make the deal. He's not strong enough. He's the only one that can do it, Mark Carnage. And you know what he's done? Nothing. Nothing. He was the only one that could make that deal. He's done nothing. Now, it's very simple. Trump's a business guy. He likes to make deals. All you have to do is go down there and make a case. Listen, we both want to make money. That's what all this is about. So let's get together and make money. And we don't take their booze off the shelves, and we don't cancel airplane contracts. And all of this is leading up to the USMCA agreement that's coming up in July for review. And the Gordie Howe Bridge will be part of it. I mean, Canadians have to get it through their thick skulls. The United States does not need anything Canada has, just like Trump said. And now somebody's saying about the wheat, we don't send them our wheat, they're going to starve. No, they're not. They can grow lots of wheat there. Do you think everything good stops at the 49th parallel? You can only grow wheat above the 49th parallel. Once you get south of it, they don't have any wheat. They only have oil north of the 49th parallel. Once you get south of it, they don't have oil, or they don't have electricity. Where do people get these ideas? When Trump says they don't need Canada for anything, he's serious. They really don't. They have everything they need there, and what they don't have there, they can get from other places, and other places will deal with them because they want access to the world's biggest economy and the world's biggest market and the world's richest economy and market. He's got all the cards. Our best bet is to play with him, bet on him. take his hand and bet on that hand if you want to win. It's not best to buck the guy and to try to screw him. I don't understand this reasoning, and it's been happening for over a year now, and we're starting to see all this stuff come down, and the economy's crappy, and there's no sales, and all kinds of stuff going on. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So now we got to go over to this, and that's the shooting in British Columbia. And it's hard to talk about this event, and people say it's because of Trump. It's not because of Trump. It's because people are mentally ill. And it's a tragedy in a country that bans guns, doesn't allow guns, wants you to turn in your guns and they'll pay you for them. And my heart goes out to the families of the kids that got shot by this maniac. May God be with them. What I want to comment on is the Canadian press and how despicable they are, calling the killer a gun person, using all these woke terms to try to deflect it away from what really happened. When it's known that the person is a transgender, they label the purple female, not a female, it's a male. An insult to all females. And also something that really never happens with a female at the end of a gun. Female involved in a mass shooting is very, very rare. I mean, maybe it's never happened. I don't know. What is evident, and something the press will never talk about, is that transgenders are mentally ill people. They are people hopped up on hormones that have gender dysphoria problems and need treatment. They need help. You look at the last 10 incidents in the United States, all of them were transgender, and the violence from them is out of control. And who is to blame? Well, the doctors, the teachers, the parents that allow this to happen to their kids, administering puberty blockers and giving them large doses of hormones, helping them to be something they're not, having that inner conflict of what they really are versus what they're acting and trying to be. It doesn't help them to resolve the issues they're having. And most of them aren't about gender. It's about acceptance or anything else. And they try to rectify it with these mental problems, but it just drives them crazy. The suicide rate among transgenders is 6 times more than the rest of society. Roughly 32 to 50% of transgender people worldwide have attempted suicide at least once in their lives. I mean, those are real numbers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making them up. This epidemic is ongoing, and it isn't going to stop as long as people aid and abet them. The fundamentals are not being addressed by therapy. They are being addressed by hormones and woke ideology. And sometimes parents have to say no, giving 8-year-olds puberty blockers and hormones because they think they're really another gender. They've been brainwashed by the media, by schools, by social media as well. That just isn't right. And we're seeing the effects. We are seeing the effects. It's a crime against the children, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. Now they're taking steps in the United States to get away from this. No men and women's sports, no transgendered bathrooms. Transgenders are out of the military. I mean, these people have problems, have issues. And to help them along their way to bad mental health and to a life that just causes them to take their own life, they can't deal with it, is a crime in itself. I feel so bad for those people who got shot, and it shouldn't have happened. And as you delve more into the story and read more into it, you'll see exactly what went on. And this should have been prevented, and it could have been prevented, but it wasn't. And that's about all I'm going to say about that. We've got to deal with mental health issues. And it's not just transgender, it's other people with mental health issues that are pulling the triggers of these guns. And the saying, guns don't kill people, people kill people, is more true than ever because responsible gun owners don't do this kind of stuff. Okay, on a lighter note, over to Oshawa, where the Oshawa Generals OHA ice hockey team director of ticket sales and services, Jason Hickman, sent out an email to all season ticket holders to take a shower before attending home games. That's what he sent an email saying, all you people who come to Oshawa General home games that are season ticket holders, take showers before you come to the games. Why? Well, the Oshawa Generals are last in the league. They stink. And apparently so do their fans. In the email, he asked season ticket holders to shower before attending games, especially if you went to the gym or did something that produces body odor. He went on to say, if you're feeling unwell, we encourage you to take care of yourself and cheer us on from home when possible. He also made references to personal hygiene stations, hand sanitizing locations, cover coughs and sneezes, and be mindful of personal cleanliness while sharing space with fellow fans. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. When interviewed about these bizarre statements, Hickman said he is inundated with complaints from people saying the person next to them in the stands smell like cat pee, body odor, this, that, and everything else. Basically, they stink. He says fans don't want to tell other people that they stink. So he felt the need to address the complaint with an email. As wacky as that email was, can you imagine getting an email telling you stink? Take a shower before you come to the games. I guess when people tell them that their team stinks, it's not just the team on the ice they're talking about in Oshawa. That is a crazy story. Take a shower before you go to a hockey game, you bums. Thanks to Tim Kelly, reporter, Oshawa this week. I found that hilarious. I found that, but it's true. I wouldn't doubt these guys go to the game stinking. They don't care. People don't care. So, all those hoax climate change targets that Canadians have been paying through the nose so that politicians can stop climate change? I mean, that's an absurd thought in itself that politicians, if you give them trillions of dollars, that they can stop climate change. Well, after giving up trillions of dollars, from Canadians have, surprise, surprise, as Gomer Pyle would say, surprise, 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 Canada is not on track to hit net zero carbon emissions. Well, how about that? Or meet any climate change targets, which begs the question, what the hell have they been doing with our money? I mean, they've been screwing us out of money to address emissions and climate change and global warming. Remember that one? They dropped that one and moved to climate change because it was proved the globe isn't warming. And they've been doing that to us since the 70s. Don't forget, man, back in the early 70s, all these emission things went on cars. All these catalytic converters and all these emission standards. And that cost us hundreds of millions of dollars because we paid more for cars because of these emission things we had to do. In Canada, we paid a lot more for cars. So we've been contributing to this hoax since the 70s, early 70s. Now, Canada is not on track to meet 2026 goals, not on track to meet 2030 Paris Accord goals. And that right there, the Paris Accord has cost us billions with this carbon tax. Not on track to meet any goals or any long-term goals of reaching net zero emissions by 2050. I mean, does this surprise anybody? It's a scam to jimmy money out of your pocket. That's all it is. They make all this money and give it away. Give it away to countries that don't give a damn and everything else. The whole climate change scam was invented in the 80s by Al Gore. Yeah, it was global warming at first. Remember, he said 10 years? 1980, Al Gore said in 10 years, Manhattan will not exist. It'll be covered with water. And it was just invented by Al Gore to separate you from your money. Well, Al Gore managed to increase his net worth to $300 million. Nice work if you can get it. His net worth from financial disclosures before the year 2000, when he ran in the election, was $1.9 million. Now it's $300 million. Hey, but I digress. Even the U.S., who Trump pulled out of these hoax accords, has cut emissions by 17% without being in any of these other things, doubling Canada's rate of emissions since 2005. So, where did all the money go that we gave the government to make the climate better? Well, nobody can explain that. But when you waste billions of dollars on EV scams, waste billions of dollars on windmills and green energy concepts that never work, they're piles of junk and they never will work. When you give countries billions of dollars via the Paris Accord and other scams that Canada always gets sucked into, it doesn't take long to burn through trillions of dollars. And, the sad part is drug addicted, starving Canadians sleep on the streets. But the one good thing is they have clean air to breathe. I mean, what a joke. Come on. Come on. This is a joke. It's always been a joke. And for us to, oh yeah, they dropped the carbon tax and then they put on the clean air tax or something. I mean, they shift this money around and play these games with you and fearmonger you into blowing your money. It's so ridiculous. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to finish off with one more thing because I think it's hilarious. The Super Bowl halftime show featuring Nasty Rabbit, a big flop. The guy did it all in Spanish. Pretty disgusting, really. You think that I'm just saying that? I didn't watch it live, but I did watch it to see what happened. I watched the recording of it, the video of it. And I wasn't really upset by it or anything. Like some people were upset. I didn't get upset about it. I thought it was odd that they're playing everything in Spanish, so you didn't understand what he was saying. But the FCC understood what he was saying. The lyrics to the songs and the crotch grabbing was crazy, ridiculous. The FCC is going to hit Nasty Rabbit with a $10 million fine for on-air vulgarity and explicit gestures. It doesn't matter if you hide your profanity behind another language, said FCC Commissioner Joseph Barron. It's still against the law. Apple Music and the NFL are also facing stiff fines along with Nasty Rabbit. And of course, at the same time they were doing this pile of crap, Turning Point USA ran their halftime show, and it was a big success. They had 10.1 million viewers or something like that tuned in. All-American show filled with God, the flag, and country. American Patriots at Work, featuring the redemption of Kid Rock, real name Robert Ritchie. It was a halftime show worth watching. I really enjoyed it. Now, has there been a fine levied yet? Not yet. They're talking about it. But there definitely is an investigation into this Super Bowl show. There is an investigation, and fines could drop. Stay tuned for this one since it will affect future Super Bowls, and the competition for that 15-minute entertainment window is going to be even stiffer next year, I think. But he may get a fine for it. They've had enough. Anyway, that's that. That's it for today. Leave comments. I'm sure you agree with me or you disagree with me. Not everybody can agree with me all the time. There's got to be people out there who think I'm a jerk and who have something to say. Well, leave comments so I know and we can talk about it. Monday is family day, so for all you people who get the day off, enjoy the time with your family. I'll be in the studio doing a show Monday at 12 noon. Don't worry about that. I will be here. Have a great long weekend, everybody. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop, wildbills.ca, and Pete's Pizza on Victoria Avenue and now Thoroldstone and Kaler. Pete's Pizza Victoria.ca is the website. Support our sponsors. They support the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please subscribe to the channel. Get involved. Subscribe. It costs you nothing. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave comments. And we're going to move through the rest of this year to October as we head for that election. And I can't wait. God bless you all. My name is Paul Kalemir. This is Your City, Your Voice, coming to you live from the studios of 4680Q Radio, downtown Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.